guys, Puddin here with a game for you in my Tier 5 British battleship, the Iron Duke. Now, my captain skills are priority target, adrenaline rush, basic survivability, superintendent, advanced fire training, and of course concealment. This captain does move around. My modules are protect my main batteries, longer shooting AA, and of course Damacon. Now, as you can see on the map here and through chat, most of the team wants to go do an A-B strategy. Now, while the name of the map slips my mind, I believe that A and C are your best options to divide your forces. Usually this is a low enough tier to where one team is going to pretty much lemming train to one side of the map and the other, and it's really just a coin flip on whether or not it's A or C. So if you can divide your forces if you can divide your forces up smartly, whatever side is dealing with the lemming train from the enemy side, really their only job is to just delay the cap, survive as long as possible, do as much damage until the other guys from the other cap can't make it over. Now usually this entails that you will die because you're dealing with the enemy's lemming train. You just don't have the support that you really need. Now I see our DD, or one of our DDs is going to C, at least two cruisers are going to C, and I don't like giving them C for free. Now, if the enemy team decides to lemming train, 4 ships aren't going to slow them down. The 1 destroyer and 3 cruisers aren't going to slow these guys down. But if they do have a battleship backing them up, it might make some guys not want to push as hard. So, with my team going to A, a few guys going to C, I'm going to back them up at C. Now, the other thing is with this video is you're going to see me shooting a lot of HE. This is my very first game ever in the Iron Duke. I did free experience the modules, all that stuff. And like I said, this captain does go between the Hood, the Nelson, the Warspite. So I have been able to grind experience that way with this guy. I'm kind of shooting AG just to see how potent it really is, because that's all you kept hearing about. That's all you kept seeing with the super testers or with the community contributors. You know, just, shoot AG and forget it. And I just wanted to do it myself. Now the other thing is, Sneaky will actually be showing you a video where he primarily uses AP. So my thought on these British battleships, at least at this part, and I've only played the Iron Duke as far as in the tech tree, so I've been trying to treat it like a cruiser as far as ammo selection. Now, that is the only thing, or the only skill that really prevails through what I've seen in these British battleships is knowing what ammo to shoot at what time. You really need to be aware of what you're going to shoot, what's in the area, and is it angled or is it not. Now, it's not that I'm not shooting AP, I'm just not going to use it as much. Like I said, I just want to see what it does compared to HE, but I'm going to primarily be shooting HE because for me, the targets I've been shooting just warrant it more. Even a bow on cruiser, get the fire, burn them, get the damage over time, along with the nice high alpha that you get from your HE. Now, I know I have AP loaded on this guy, I have AP coming in again, but what you will not see is me actively selecting between the ammo. I do believe I'm going to fire this AP, but I have HE loaded to shoot next. I wanted to see what kind of damage. numbers I would get differently. Even though some of the area would be saturated, I just wanted to see if they were close. But as you can see, the the enemy team, for the most part, is coming over to see what some of them going to A. But the guys at A see the massive lemming train, and that's what I mean by if the team lemming trains, what's ever trying to stop them, unless it's your lemming train, they're just going to get in the way. They're not going to slow them down. These guys are all positioned on A. The enemy team is all running from A. Now, the only thing that made it out of the area would be the Minakaze is now somewhere behind us. He's the gentleman who capped B. But as you can see, just by me being in the area, it's, the high school fleet's reversing, the Byron's not wanting to push. They do have a Colorado. The Iowa is the one who finally mans up and comes in here. But I'm thinking, okay, the Iowa's shooting HE at me, because why in God's green earth would a Colorado shoot HE? I'm at tier 5. His 16-inch guns can pretty much overmatch me. Doesn't matter about angle because of the way the overmatch mechanic works. His guns are just too big for my armor. Now, this is the issue that I have with the British battleships. These things do not teach you how to play properly. To me, all they're doing is teaching new players very nasty, bad habits. Because if everybody's shooting HE, doesn't matter if you're angled. As you can see, I am angled properly against the Byron, the high school fleet, but it wouldn't matter against the Colorado. But this idiot is shooting high explosives. And I can hear you guys now. Oh, but you're shooting high explosives, you're just as dumb. One, I'm doing this as a test. Number two, he is bow on to me. My guns cannot overmatch his. So, there really isn't, I don't have a choice here. He's not showing me broadside. I will actually shoot some AP at him later on, to where you guys can see about my guns just aren't big enough to do damage to the Colorado. But anybody who's new to the game and now just working up this line is just going to learn nothing but bad habits of, it doesn't matter if you angle, just stay broadside because everybody's shooting HE anyways. And when you finally run across an intelligent person, he's going to delete your ass. He's going to take big chunks out of you, and you're not going to enjoy it, and then accusations going to get thrown all over the place. But as you can see, the Colorado is starting to show me some sight, but I've already got the HE loaded. I saw what he was doing, and I immediately switched to AP, thinking maybe this guy will stay broadside for me. Let me see what I can do to him. He's still showing me side, and I think, well, let me hit the cruiser. I'm battleship after all, that's who I should be hitting. I'm also trying to hit multiple targets to reset the cap as much as possible. The Byron's not on cap, so I'm just going to shoot the Colorado. Now you can see my guns are loaded. This gentleman is, for the most part, broadside, but he's now starting to angle. And I did kind of shoot a little bit for up in the superstructure, and let's see, 2 ricochets and 2 shatters. That's the difference between my guns and his guns. His guns wouldn't be getting as many as those shatters. So I'm thinking, well, I got AP loaded. It's pointless to shoot at the Colorado. He's not going to do significant damage. I need to reset this cap. Let me hit the high school fleet that is on cap, and he is slowing down, and do a nice 3,000 and cap reset. Immediately realized that at this point I'm just better off shooting a G. Now the other thing going on in the back of my mind is, where the hell is this destroyer? This guy's a sneaky bastard. Nobody is actively looking for him. I finally get spotted, and I do believe it is Colorado who spots me. take shots in on him instead of the high school fleet because I know I have plenty of time to hit the high school fleet. I wanted to try to reignite fires. I wanted to get the guy's damage repair party down so I can continue to burn him. My next target's going to be the high school fleet. Now, I stay broadside knowing that the Byron is shooting AP and that the Colorado is shooting HE. The reason I stay broadside is because German dispersion at range is notoriously bad. They have to get in a lot closer to make it work. This gentleman's quickly approaching that gray area. It's not exactly long, but it's not exactly short. The Colorado is well within what would be devastating for him, but the guy's not shooting AP at all. So I figured, screw him. I'll take my chances with RNG with the Byron. The other thing is I wanted to keep my guns to bear on the high school fleet because I am not running expert marksman, because this captain does go through several ships that kind of don't need expert marksman for the church traverse. This guy's probably going to go all the way up to the Conqueror, and if you play it right and just pay attention to your surroundings, you can try to get your guns turning ahead of time of where you want to shoot. And like I say, it's really going to be the good players who dictate where, what ammo that they want to shoot. Oh look, torpedoes. Surprised by nobody. I knew the destroyer was back there somewhere. I didn't know where. I just had a very, very bad feeling because he hasn't been spotted in a long time. Torpedoes give me an idea. I ping the map. I let people know where the destroyer is. But I've been, cutting my speed, changing course. I'm also actively sailing away from the destroyer. The DD pops up, and I think, well, there should be no way he survives against Nuremberg. And then I realize, oh crap, it's a Nuremberg. Why hasn't he exploded yet? So I'm kind of hoping that our DD will be the one to keep this Minakaze spotted and deal with him. Somebody else reset the cap, but now I believe I'm the only ship in position to get this cap reset. And just by simply resetting this cap has forced this high school fleet to stay here. What this guy should have done was said, screw it, I cannot get this cap, I need to get out. What this has allowed us to do is get a huge point lead. Now the ship lead that we have is not very big, but we do have a ship lead. I think I've done a fantastic job of trying to preserve as much health as possible and with dealing with these ships. Now, I see these shots, I see that salvo, and I'm thinking, crap, these are going to hurt, and crap, those hurt. It was the chance I took for doing it. Kind of wish I had AP loaded to see what I would do, but I'm just, I'm sticking with the high explosives. It's got me this far through the fight, and these ships are. I will actually use HE to shoot at destroyers. I kind of want to have the HE loaded to shoot at him. I know I've said previous before, I'm a big fan of AP, but the thing is, these guns are so accurate, and usually when the Minakaze is going to get spotted due to the location of where RDD is, where I'm at, this gentleman is going to be very close to where he's going to get hit with a lot of shells. I'm going to knock out a lot of modules, probably set some fires, but I'm also going to do damage. I'm looking to do the module damage along with damage. I do AP. The guy was fairly angled-ish. I was aiming up into the superstructure a little bit. I knew he was turning in. I knew he was angled. But I do 5,000 damage. But I also noticed his damage repair part is down. Oh look, shots coming from something that aren't as secondaries for him. I wonder what that could be. Get the fire burning back on him. And I'm hoping this guy gave me smoke. Okay, DD, all you have to do is go out there, keep this, get maybe disappearing, okay? Just try to keep the guy spotted. That's all this guy would have to do, and I will actively shoot at him. The other thing is the enemy ship isn't looking at him. You are a higher tier to DD. You should go out and force this fight. You have the advantages. Instead, he decides to torpedo a ship sailing away. Yay. Those torpedoes are never going to hit. This guy's going to die. Now he shoots his gun, and Cleveland gets to fire. I start moving forward in hopes that the DD torped somewhere else. Unfortunate for me, he did not. Get my heel back. Gonna eat a torp. I'm going to die. And now, guys, time for Sneaky's replay.
Hey guys, Sneaky here, and now we're going to take a look at a replay that I had in the Duke. I'm divisioned up with my buddy Elastic Spider, and he is in the same ship, and we're playing some domination here on the map New Dawn. Now, you saw in Puddin's replay, he used almost exclusively the high explosive shells, and while I'm not here to talk about whether it's broken or OP, I'm sure you've seen plenty on YouTube and on the forums about how it's broken and the HE is too powerful. Whatever your opinion is on that, whatever my opinion is on that, it does not matter at the moment. We're just here to show you how to utilize these ships to, I would say, their full potential. And what you're going to see in my replay is a lot more of the armor-piercing shell usage. Now, these shells are okay. You're not going to confuse them with a Congo or a New York/Texas for their long-range potency, but these guns are still capable of getting 5-figure salvos at ranges of under 10 kilometers relatively reliably. And again, that's what you're going to see here in this replay. Another thing to note, for the first few minutes of the game, my accuracy is going to be downright terrible. This was my very first game in the ship, so I was getting used to the flight time and whatnot, and this was also my first game of the day, too. So pardon the very, very lackluster shooting at the beginning, but this video will certainly get the point across. Now, what about the Duke? What do you need to know about it? Well, it can best be compared to the New York and the Texas. They're all four of those very similar, or all three of those very similar ships. You have 10 guns, just like the Texas and the New York. You have a decent armor layout, albeit it is not the all-for-nothing armor layout that those guys have. You have more of an intermediate, kind of like the Germans, where you have a bit of armor here, you have a bit of armor there. Nothing too thick, nothing too crazy, but it does cover the ship for most of it. Also, the AA on the Texas and New York is a little bit better, I believe, especially so on the Texas. Don't know about the New York, but the Iron Duke's AA is okay. However, you have some very nice concealment. 12.5 kilometers, this is currently the best of any Tier 5 battleship, and you should really take advantage of it when possible. This thing is also slightly faster than those two American Goliaths as well. And again, the main point of this is the gun performance. You have 13.5-inch guns compared to 14-inch, as I'm looking for my first shot here on the Hachiharu. So 13.5-inch, what it means is that you have slightly less alpha damage, and these shells also go through the air extremely slow. I believe it's 767 meters a second, somewhere in the 760 range. So it's a very slow shell flight time, to be honest with you. But if you've played those American battleships, then it shouldn't take you too long to be able to get hits. And also the Orion at Tier 4, the British battleship, has the exact same gun layout and setup. So if you were accurate or at least got used to the guns on the Orion, you should just be fine here on the Duke. So here at the beginning of the game, the Queen Elizabeth on our team from STW manages to take care of the Hachiharu and gets the first kill. You can see our Duca made a ridiculous push right into B. Both of those destroyers tried to come and get him, and somehow he's still alive at the moment. Probably a good deal of torpedo beating. I'm now looking for a long-range shot here on the Cleveland. I can just barely squeeze the shells over the island, so I'm definitely going to go for it. You can see the Duca is still in that close-range knife fight with the Kamikaze. My shells are flying in on the Cleveland. Will I be able to register a hit? Unfortunately, just a bit too far, and our buddy in the Queen Elizabeth manages to take out his second destroyer of the game with the high explosive. One thing to note about the HE, which you saw in Puddin's video, is it can deal some pretty incredible damage if it hits parts of the ship which are penetratable. And the HE penetration, for those of you that don't know, I don't recall if Puddin mentioned this in his video, but I'm just going to say it again regardless. You take the caliber of the shell and divide it by 4 for the British battleships instead of the general 6, which you would do for the Americans and the Japanese. The Germans also get this quarter penetration instead of the 6th penetration. So what this means is that the Iron Duke is more than capable of going through the citadels of equal tier and some higher tier cruisers with the HE. You're not going to get citadels on every shot, but it is possible. So now at this point you can see here one of the big weaknesses of the Iron Duke is the turret traverse. You can see how I was not able to get a shot on that Iron Duke as I was starting my turn to starboard, so I instead had to take a punt at the Cleveland. These shells look a little bit better, and JK. Nope, they were a little bit short. The accuracy was very good. Like I mentioned earlier, my accuracy at the beginning is a bit bad. Our team does manage, however, to kill the 3rd enemy destroyer out of 4, and the Duca's torpedoes, all 3 of them managed to slam home into the Byron. I guess that guy just was not paying attention to those whatsoever, such as life here at the low to mid tiers. You can now see I am switching to the high explosive after I get the armor-piercing salvo. Right here, the Byron, it's a very tanky Tier 6 German BB. The shell is all falling right on the target. I get 3 ricochets, 1 fails to pen, so 4 out of the 6 shells that hit that German BB do not do any damage to him. So you can see that the AP right there not coming in handy. That Byron was angled away at about 30-35 degrees, I'd say. And methinks that if a New York or a Texas salvo did that, it probably would have been able to do a little bit more damage. But nonetheless, the Byron kicks the bucket right as I shoot my next salvo of high explosive. Our Queen Elizabeth has now picked up his 3rd kill, so a very nice job right there. Obviously got to give a shout out to you, sir, because you're an STW and is Puddin. So far, there's only 14:48 left in the game. It's 419 to 191. We've captured Charlie and are now getting ready to make a push into Objective Bravo. The enemy team has most of their forces over along the C and D lines, with one HMS Gallant over there on Gulf 1 trying to come around behind us. So at this point, as the Iron Duke does burn down our New Mexico, no surprise there, we're not out of the woods yet, so we'll see what happens here. Another shot here at the Duke. 3 shells hit, 1 fails to pen. I do a little bit of damage, about 5,000 there, but unfortunately I do not start a fire. And for some reason with me in the Iron Duke, when I grinded through it, I didn't get as many fires as I was hoping for. I believe its fire chances in the high 30s, which for Tier 5 is honestly pretty ridiculous. Looking for another shot here of high explosive against the Duke. You can see here just with the HE shells as well, the flight time is very, very slow, so you do have to lead quite considerably to land your shells on target. Once more, 3 more hits, and just under 2,000 damage dealt. You can see my buddy Spider is also taking a punt there at the Cleveland. However, he has been taking quite a bit of damage from the HE spam, and right there as more shells fall in on him. No, he did not get lit on fire. Okay, more shells are coming his way, so he has to break off the engagement because he did use his damage control. You can see right there from the Duke, I took a 6,500 salvo right in the broadside. I think 3 or 4 shells did manage to hit me from 12.5 kilometers. So while nothing catastrophic, certainly nothing too low to write home about. You can also see right there the Duke, 14.5 kilometers away. He was angled moderately, about 20-25 degrees, and all 3 of my shells that hit right on top of the deck did ricochet. And there we go. Spider, as he did take out the Cleveland, got lit on fire like 3 times, so he has to get out of dodge. But of course, because this thing has great concealment, you are certainly able to do so. Now looking for a shot here at the enemy Cleveland. He's 13.4 kilometers away. The dispersion looks A-okay. You've noticed on most of my salvos, the lateral, or excuse, I always mess that up, the horizontal dispersion is honestly pretty decent in this thing. And I also grinded through the Queen Elizabeth, which I do have a review coming up on Sunday before. Horizontal? Yes. I almost jacked it up there again. The horizontal dispersion on it is honestly pretty good, and it's the same here with the Iron Duke. So I'm now looking for another shot here at the enemy Cleveland. He's now 13 kilometers away, moving slightly away. So for this shot, I aimed about halfway up the waterline, right in the mid portion of the hull, and there we go, a nice hit. Unfortunately, no citadels, but 11,000 points of damage right there on that Tier 6 American light cruiser. And I do take a pretty decent shot in return from the Iron Duke at about 10.2 kilometers away. A couple shells went right through the bow, and a couple went right through the midsection. So unfortunately, at this point, I have, I guess, 3/5 of my hit points. And I'll get a broadside of armor piercing at the Iron Duke. Oh boy, that could be a drinking game, huh? Take a swig every time I say Iron Duke. Anyway, that was a terrible joke. I'm sorry for that. It's 398. Make that 404 to 367. I had a decent armor piercing salvo go against none other than the Duke. I'm getting some of my hit points back using one of my heals. I have been permanently detected by aircraft for quite some time. That enemy carrier has been trying to move his planes around in the ideal positions, so at this point, there's no way for me to be able to get undetected. I'm now looking for an armor-piercing shot here at, yeah, we're not going to say the Duke. Well, I just did. Never mind. Another AP salvo here at that British battleship. The shells fall in. There we go. 11,700 damage dealt. You can see the shot counter at the right. 3 shells penned, 1 failed, 1 ricocheted, and 2 overpenned on that guy, Yogi Tanker. So a very nice salvo right there. And if it was an American battleship or maybe a Congo, yeah, you probably would have been able to punish him a little bit harder, maybe even snag a Citadel too. But with this ship, I really didn't get any Citadels unless I got well under 10 kilometers. And you're going to see an example of that later on when I come to terms with an enemy Fuso. But yeah, getting a Citadel with these guns is pretty difficult. Over 10 kilometers on a battleship. You have to get extremely lucky or be shooting at something very lightly armored like an Isuzuchi. It's 488 now to 409. I'm at 47,000 points of damage, a modest total. At least my shooting has gotten a little better. I'm looking for another shot here against Yogi Tanker. Looking for the shot. There we go. The broadside is out. It is going over the island. You can see he's only 7.7 kilometers away, and I was still able to get the full broadside over the corner of the island right there. These shells do have such loopy arcs that you're able to shoot over islands that aren't too terribly tall, up to about 7 kilometers away from you, or at least I should say you're able to shoot at ships 7 kilometers away from you, as long as you don't have an island in the way that's too terribly tall, which honestly feels very Des Moines-like. It feels very American heavy cruiser-like, and it's honestly really nice. You can see right here, the next salvo going down range at, what is that, Plump Loser, I think? Yeah, the armor-piercing salvo falling in on the target. There we go. Very nice salvo. 9,000 damage dealt right there with 3 pens and 1 over-penetration, so a very solid salvo. Unfortunately, we do lose a couple ships in rapid succession, so now we're actually down 5 versus 6. I'm looking for the next salvo here against Yogi Tanker. He is looking at me, but luckily for me, he decides to shoot a full broadside of high explosive right about as I do. I get my armor-piercing salvo out. There we go. Here comes his return salvo. Luckily for me, it's HE, and while it does deal an okay amount of damage, I certainly managed to take him out. And now we're going to go against this full health enemy Fuso, the tier 6 Japanese battleship. Now that thing, while I don't know for sure if it has a turtleback, it is not the easiest ship in the world to Citadel, so you do really have to get to these closer ranges to be able to do so. I'm up to 66,000 points of damage. See the Fuso continuing to shoot high explosive at me, which is good for me because I'm angled. He's not really going to do too much damage. I'm also turning to my starboard side to try to get out of the way of these torpedoes. There we go. The 2 front guns get 3 pens for 9,800 damage. I do eat 1 torpedo and get a flood, so I do have to immediately repair it. My buddy Spider manages to take out the other Iron Duke. My 3 rear turrets are able to go in, and oh yeah, there we go. Another 9,800 damaging salvo right there with 4 pens and 1 over penetration. I got 7 seconds left now for the 2 forward guns, so I should be able to deal some more significant damage to this guy. He's on 16,000 hit points. We're 3.8 kilometers away. I am right at the front of the ship, and there we go. Get a Citadel with 3 pens to go with it. So this Fuso is not long for his life at this point. He's only on 1,400 hit points, and now my 3 rear turrets are going to be able to send the 6 shells downrange. There we go, taking care of my second kill of the game. I'm up to over 103,000 points of damage, and now I'm getting ready to shoot at, yep, another Iron Duke. I don't know why this is so funny, but, oh man, British BB spam this weekend was insane. Anyway, 7 seconds left on the rear turrets. The forward guns are ready to go. Waiting for the rear turrets to go before I get another broadside out. There we go. The salvo is out. Get a chain fire. The dispersion is absolutely atrocious, and I still managed to do 4,000 damage to that guy. So I'm now getting ready to load yet another armor-piercing salvo. You can also see here that I do not have Adrenaline Rush on this one. This being my first game in the ship, I think I only had a 10-point captain at the moment. So I wanted to use Expert Marksman because the turret traverse is absolutely terrible. I think it's like 3 degrees a second. Unfortunately, the Gallant manages to burn down Elastic Spider. But we still have a 43 ship lead and a pretty decent points lead as well. The next armor-piercing salvo going down in at the guy. There we go. 11,000 damage dealt And you can see right there on his return volley, I was able to angle myself very nicely and only took 2,700 points of damage. There is a very small section of the bow that is armored pretty decently, more so than the 19 millimeters that this thing does normally come with at the front and the rear section of the ship. So, well, I shouldn't say it normally comes with it. Obviously it comes with it because it's only a Tier 5 battleship. But I was able to find the meaty parts of his superstructure while he only hit me in the well-armored section of the bow. You can see here as next salvo comes in, I managed to bounce both shells off the side of the belt armor. You do have enough to be able to tank at a 20 to 30 degree angle. Unfortunately, my high explosive shot did not light him on fire, but he's only at 3,700 hit points. And then at this point, I decided, since this is my first game of the ship, instead of going for the killing blow on the Iron Duke, I really wanted to test out just how crazy this high explosive salvo could potentially be. So I'm now looking for the shot here on the Zuiho. There we go. Shots are out. He does deal a pretty decent back right at me. Get a Citadel and set a fire with the high explosive. Pick up Confederate. Get my first fire of the game, 135,000 points of damage. So that was a pretty meaty salvo on the Zuiho. A little bit lackluster. I was expecting a little bit more on that, but of course we're getting ready for the follow-up shot. And like I said, this Zuiho is only 7.2 kilometers away, but since he's turning away, I'm going to be able to get my full broadside just over the island, and will be able to hit him again only 7 kilometers away. And this is what the lazy shell arcs are able to give to you. The salvo is out. The dispersion looks great, and oh mama, I knocked out a whole crap load of stuff. Set 2 more fires on that guy. He is now burning ferociously. He will be getting killed here very shortly. Unfortunately, I did not chunk him down enough, so the Cleveland is going to be able to get the kill steal with 798 hit points left on him. And now you can see the Gallant is taking some pot shots at me. Tainted Donut, it appears. Well, sir, you're in for a rude surprise. The high explosive on these British battleships does unbelievable damage to enemy destroyers. And you're going to see right here, looking for the shot here, getting all the guns to play. There we go. We're going to follow the salvo in on the target. He's on a decent amount of hit points, and kapla! As I finish off the game in style. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at our post-battle results for Puddin's game. 262,000 credits received, 4,200 total EXP earned, 113,000 points of damage dealt off of 70 shell hits. He got 20 base defense ribbons, 14 fires set, and sent 1 ship to the bottom of the sea. Taking a look at his team score, 1,874 base EXP, a very solid performance here in the Duke. Easily MVP on the squad. Now taking a look here at his detailed report, 51,000 points of damage dealt with the HE, only 12,000 dealt with the armor piercing, and then a further 49,000 dealt with the fires that he set. And he also had a very, very impressive 1.8 million potential damage. So yeah, you saw with Puddin's game, he tanked a lot of damage. He did well. I'm surprised he did not get a Dreadnought out of this, and then he was just burning stuff down, specifically the Bayern and the Colorado, like a complete boss. So a great game by Puddin. Now taking a look at my post-battle results, 341,000 credits received and 4,662 total EXP. I picked up Confederate, Dreadnought, and High Caliber, dealing 153,000 points of damage off of 88 shell hits. I started 3 fires, grabbed 2 citadels, shot down 3 planes, sent 3 ships to the bottom, and had 1 assisted base capture. Taking a look at the team score, 2,072 base EXP, a very nice game. And then my buddy Spider came in 3rd place with 2 kills of his own and 1396 base EXP as well, so a pretty respectable performance. Taking a look at the detailed report, 37,000 damage dealt with the high explosive, 3,800 with the fires, so a very little amount right there. But to make up for it, 112,000 points of damage dealt with the armor piercing. I also managed to get 1.3 million potential damage, so while not as much as Puddin, I was still able to secure a nice Dreadnought. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the double dose of replays, and please let us know if you'd like to start having us do this again, because we haven't done one, a dual commentary, in a while, and we'd just like to know if this is something you guys would like to see more of in the future. With that being said, the Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms, World of Warships signing off. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated, and have a great day.